The phone screamed into the silence of Junho Choi's penthouse at exactly 1:47 a.m. He was awake, as usual. Insomnia had been his companion since Cassandra left 8 months ago. The name flashing on his screen made his heart stop. Cassie. Hello. His voice came out rougher than intended. Heavy breathing. A small, pained whimper. Junho. Her voice cracked. I need you. Something's wrong. There's water everywhere and a sharp inhale. Oh God, it hurts. He was already moving, grabbing his keys, his coat. Where are you? My apartment. Gangnam. I didn't know Junho, I didn't know I was pregnant. Her words tumbled out between gasps. I thought it was stress, the weight, my irregular periods. This can't be happening. I'm coming. Don't move. I'm calling an ambulance. His hands shook as he sprinted to the private elevator. Cassie, listen to me. Breathe. I'm 10 minutes away. I'm scared. The vulnerability in her voice shattered something in his chest. This was the woman who'd walked away from him with her head held high, who told him she refused to be the secret he kept from his family, from the board, from Korea's ruthless media. The woman who'd returned to Seoul 6 weeks ago for work, determined to prove she could be professional around him. Now she was alone and terrified. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Keep talking to me. He made it in 7 minutes, breaking every traffic law in Seoul. The ambulance arrived 30 seconds after him. Junho found her on the bathroom floor, her beautiful face twisted in pain, her curly hair plastered to her forehead with sweat. She was wearing one of his old shirts, the white one she'd claimed the last night they'd spent together. You kept it, he said stupidly, kneeling beside her. It still smells like you. She gripped his hand so hard he felt bones shift. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have known. I should have. Stop. He brushed her hair back, and for the first time in 8 months he touched her again. We're going to get through this. The paramedics rushed in, and Junho refused to let go of her hand as they loaded her onto the stretcher. In the ambulance, as Seoul's neon lights blurred past the windows, Cassandra looked at him with eyes full of fear and something else, something that looked like hope. You came, she whispered. You called. He pressed his lips to her knuckles. I'll always come. The first time Junho saw Cassandra, she was arguing with his head of security. I don't care if he's in a meeting. I have an appointment. Check your list again. She stood in the marble lobby of Choi Industries headquarters, all 5'9" of her radiating indignation. Her natural hair was styled in an elaborate updo, and she wore a burgundy pantsuit that hugged her curves with architectural precision. She was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. Is there a problem? Junho stepped out of the executive elevator, and the lobby fell silent. People always reacted that way. Korea's youngest self-made billionaire, the tech genius who'd revolutionized AI integration, walking among mortals. The woman turned and her eyes widened. They were the color of warm honey flecked with gold. Mr. Choi. Finally. I'm Cassandra Williams from Jensen Consulting. We have a 2 p.m. about your American expansion. You're 3 hours early. I'm punctual. She smiled, and it was like watching sunrise. In my world, 3 hours early is on time. He found himself smiling back. I like your world. Come up. That meeting lasted 6 hours. Cassandra was brilliant. Her market analysis was flawless, her presentation captivating. But more than that, she challenged him. When he suggested an aggressive timeline, she called it unrealistic. When he proposed cutting corners, she said he was better than that. You didn't fly 12 hours to Seoul to tell me what I want to hear, did you, Ms. Williams? He asked as evening painted the city gold beyond his office windows. I flew here to tell you the truth, Mr. Choi. Whether you want to hear it is your choice. She closed her portfolio. But I think you're someone who appreciates honesty. I am. He stood, walking to the window. Have dinner with me. Is that appropriate? Probably not. He turned to face her. Have dinner with me anyway. She studied him for a long moment. Then she stood, smoothing her suit jacket. One condition. We don't talk about work. That dinner changed everything. They went to a Pojangmika, a street tent bar, because Junho wanted her to see the real Seoul. She tried soju for the first time and declared it dangerous, laughed at his stories about learning English from American sitcoms, and told him about growing up in Newark with a single mother who worked 3 jobs to put her through Princeton. She taught me that success isn't about where you start, Cassandra said, her eyes bright from the alcohol. It's about refusing to let anyone tell you where you belong. Where do you belong, Cassandra? She looked at him over the rim of her glass. I'm still figuring that out. He drove her back to her hotel, the Plaza, because Jensen Consulting didn't cut corners, and walked her to the lobby. The night air was cool, carrying the scent of cherry blossoms even though it was early summer. Thank you for dinner, she said. And for not being what I expected. What did you expect? A recluse. A cold genius who only speaks in algorithms. She tilted her head. But you're warm. Present. You notice things. I noticed everything about you. The words came out before he could stop them. From the moment you walked into my building. Her breath caught. They stood there, the city humming around them, something electric crackling in the space between their bodies. I'm only here for 2 weeks, she said softly. Then we shouldn't waste time. He lifted his hand, hesitating before touching her cheek. May I? She leaned into his palm. Yes. Junho cleared his schedule. For the first time in his career, something mattered more than Choi Industries. He showed Cassandra Seoul through his eyes, not the tourist version, but his city. They had breakfast at the Gwangjang market, where she tried bindyatik and declared it better than any pancake she'd had in America. They walked through Bukshan Hanok village at sunset, and he told her about his grandmother who'd grown up in a house just like these. Do you miss her? Cassandra asked, her hand finding his. Every day. She's the one who believed in me when I wanted to drop out of university to start my company. My father called me reckless. She called me brave. She sounds like she was an incredible woman. She would have loved you. The realization hit him with unexpected force. You remind me of her. That same fire. That same refusal to bend. Cassandra stopped walking, turning to face him. Junho, what are we doing? I don't know. He cupped her face in both hands. But I don't want it to stop. I leave in 9 days. Then stay. I have a life in New York. A career. An apartment with a view of Central Park that I saved for 8 years to afford. Stay anyway. He kissed her then, soft and desperate, pouring everything he couldn't say into that connection. She melted into him, her arms wrapping around his neck, and the world fell away. They stumbled back to his penthouse, leaving a trail of clothes from the door to the bedroom. Junho worshipped every inch of her, the curve of her hip, the softness of her stomach, the way she gasped when he kissed the sensitive spot behind her ear. She was generous and demanding, meeting him with equal passion, her nails digging into his shoulders as they moved together. Afterward, they lay tangled in his silk sheets, Seoul glittering through the floor-to-ceiling windows. I've never felt this way about anyone, he admitted, tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. Neither have I. She turned to look at him. It terrifies me. Good. I'd be worried if I was the only one scared. Those 2 weeks became the happiest of his life. They fell into an easy rhythm, mornings making breakfast together in his kitchen, afternoons where she'd work at his dining table while he handled calls in his office, evenings exploring the city or staying in, cooking dinner and talking until dawn. She met his friends Taeyang, his COO, who whispered, I've never seen you like this. Minji, his little sister, who video called from Paris and immediately said, she's perfect for you. They played tourist for a day, taking selfies at En Seoul Tower and feeding koi at Jogisa Temple. I could get used to this, Cassandra said on day 12, her head on his chest as they watched a movie neither of them was paying attention to. Then do. Junho tilted her chin up. Move here. Be with me. Junho. I know it's crazy. I know we've only known each other 12 days. But I've never been more certain of anything. He sat up, taking her hands. I'm falling in love with you, Cassandra. Actually, I think I'm already there. Tears filled her eyes. I love you too. But it's not that simple. Why not? Because you're Junho Choi, Korea's golden boy. And she gestured at herself. I'm a black woman from America. Your world isn't ready for us. I don't care about my world. I care about you. But I care about you, she said fiercely. I've seen the articles, Junho. The way they dissect your life. What do you think they'll do when they find out about me? The think pieces about you having a foreign girlfriend? The racist comments I'll get? The way it could affect your company, your reputation? None of that matters. It matters to me. She pulled away, standing. I won't be the reason you lose everything you've built. And I won't put myself through that pain. They fought. Really fought for the first time. Junho tried to convince her, promised to protect her, swore he'd face down anyone who said a word against her. But Cassandra was immovable. I need to think, she said finally. Alone. She left that night, going back to her hotel. Junho didn't sleep, pacing his penthouse, calling her phone repeatedly until she turned it off. The next morning her flight left at 6 a.m. He arrived at Incheon Airport at 5:30, desperately scanning the crowds for her. He found her at the gate, her carry-on beside her, looking out at the runway. Cassie. She turned and he saw that she'd been crying. You shouldn't have come. I had to try one more time. He crossed to her, taking her hands. Don't get on that plane. Or let me come with you. I'll move to New York. I'll figure it out. Just, please, don't give up on us. I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic. She touched his face. You're not thinking clearly, Junho. You're caught up in the romance of it all. But in a month, a year, when the newness fades and the real world crashes in, you'll resent me. That will never happen. You can't know that. She kissed him soft and sad. Let me go. If this is real, if we're meant to be, we'll find our way back to each other. That's bullshit and you know it. His voice cracked. You're scared, so you're running? Maybe I am. Tears streamed down her face. But I'd rather run than watch you realize you made a mistake choosing me. They called her Ro. She picked up her bag and Junho felt his heart breaking in real time. I love you, he said desperately. That's real, Cassandra. That's not going anywhere. I love you too. She smiled through her tears. That's why I have to go. He watched her board. Watched the plane push back from the gate. Watched it taxi down the runway and lift into the sky, carrying the woman he loved away from him. Junho threw himself into work with manic intensity. He expanded Choi Industries into 3 new markets, acquired 2 competitors, and developed an AI system that made international headlines. His face was everywhere, magazine covers, conference keynotes, even a Time 100 feature. But at night, alone in his penthouse, he was hollow. He tried dating. Well-meaning friends set him up with actresses, models, the daughter of a chaebol family. He went through the motions, taking them to nice restaurants, making polite conversation. But none of them were Cassandra. None of them challenged him, laughed at his jokes the way she did, looked at him like he was just Junho instead of Junho Choi. You're miserable, Minji said during one of their video calls. You know you can just call her, right? She made her choice. She made a sacrifice. There's a difference. But Junho's pride and his fear of another rejection kept him from reaching out. Meanwhile, Cassandra was building her life in New York, trying to convince herself she'd made the right decision. She threw herself into work, taking on the biggest accounts, traveling constantly. But Seoul haunted her. Junho haunted her. She didn't realize she was pregnant. How could she? Her periods had always been irregular. Sometimes she'd go 3 or 4 months without one, a condition her doctor had diagnosed as POS years ago. The weight gain she attributed to stress eating and too much takeout. The fatigue made sense given her 70-hour work weeks. When her pants stopped fitting, she bought new ones and promised herself she'd get back to the gym. It wasn't until her boss assigned her to lead Jensen Consulting's largest account, ironically, a Seoul-based tech conglomerate that was a direct competitor to Choi Industries, that everything changed. She tried to get out of it, claiming conflict of interest, but her boss had been firm. You're our Korea expert, Cass. You know the market, you speak enough Korean to get by, and you've got relationships there. It's a 3-month project. You leave in 2 weeks. So Cassandra had packed her bags and returned to Seoul, telling herself she was a professional. She could handle being in the same city as Junho. She wouldn't reach out. She'd focus on work. She'd been in Seoul for 6 weeks, living in a corporate apartment in Gangnam, deliberately avoiding anywhere she might run into him. The project was going well. She was managing. She'd even convinced herself the occasional sharp pains in her abdomen were just stress ulcers. Until that night. Until the water broke and the pain became undeniable and she realized with dawning horror what was happening. And in that moment of terror, there was only one person she wanted to call. Their daughter was born at 4:32 a.m., screaming her arrival into the world with impressive lungs. She's perfect, the doctor said, placing the tiny wriggling baby on Cassandra's chest. Healthy and strong. About 7 pounds, which is excellent considering you had no prenatal care. Junho couldn't speak. He stared at the tiny person, his daughter, with her honey-colored skin and shock of black hair. When she opened her eyes, they were dark and bright, taking in everything. Hi, baby, Cassandra whispered, crying and laughing at the same time. Hi, sweetheart. We're your parents. Sorry we're a mess. The baby made a small noise and something in Junho's chest cracked wide open. He reached out tentatively, touching one impossibly small hand. The fingers wrapped around his thumb and he was lost. She has your grip, he said, his voice rough. Strong. She has your eyes. Curious. They sat like that, the 3 of them, as dawn broke over Seoul. Eventually, the nurses took the baby to be cleaned and checked, and Junho and Cassandra were left alone. I didn't know, she said quietly, looking at him with exhausted red-rimmed eyes. I swear, Junho. I had no idea. I thought it was stress. I was barely showing. I gained maybe 15 pounds total, and I just thought it was from eating my feelings and working too much. My periods have always been a disaster because of my PCOS. I went to a doctor here last month about the weight gain and some stomach pains, and they said I probably had an ulcer from stress and should watch my diet. Cryptic pregnancy, Junho said. He'd spent the hours during her labor frantically Googling on his phone. It happens. The baby position so there's minimal showing, hormones don't trigger typical symptoms. Some women don't know until labor starts. I came back to Seoul for work, she continued, needing him to understand. Jensen assigned me to the Hanwha account 3 months, leading their expansion strategy. I tried to get out of it but my boss insisted. I've been here 6 weeks, living in Gangnam, avoiding everywhere I thought I might see you. I was supposed to go home in 6 weeks and... She laughed, a broken sound. And instead I had a baby. You were working? Junho stared at her. While pregnant. With no prenatal care. I didn't know I was pregnant. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. God, Junho, what if something had gone wrong? What if I'd hurt her? I've been drinking coffee, I took Advil for headaches, I flew internationally multiple times. Stop. He moved to sit on the edge of her bed, taking her hands. She's healthy. You're both okay. That's what matters. I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I never meant to. Cassie. He cupped her face, making her look at him. You have nothing to apologize for. Neither of us knew. But we know now and we're going to figure this out. How? She looked at him helplessly. I'm in Seoul for 6 more weeks. Then I have to go back to New York. I have a job, a life. We'll figure it out, he repeated firmly. Together. No running this time. But we're not together. We broke up. We haven't spoken in 8 months. And yet when you needed someone you called me. He brushed a tear from her cheek. That has to mean something, doesn't it? She stared at him, hope and fear warring in her expression. What are you saying? I'm saying these past 8 months have been the worst of my life. I've been successful and miserable, and I finally understand that none of it matters without you. He took a shaky breath. I love you, Cassandra. I never stopped. And now we have a daughter, and I don't want to be a part-time father. I don't want scheduled visits and holidays split between countries. I want a family. I want us. Junho, I left for a reason. I know. You thought you were protecting me. Protecting yourself. But here's what I realized. Those people who have problems with us? They don't matter. The only people who matter are about to be in this room when they bring our daughter back. Fresh tears streamed down Cassandra's face. I'm scared. What if it's too hard? What if? It probably will be hard. But I'd rather have a hard life with you than an easy life without you. He leaned forward, resting his forehead against hers. Please, Cassie. Give us a real chance. Stay. She kissed him, soft and desperate. Okay, I'll stay. We'll figure it out. They named their daughter Camille May Choi. Camille because Cassandra had always loved the name, May for Junho's grandmother. The first challenge was practical. Cassandra still had 6 weeks left on her work assignment. Her company was surprisingly understanding when she called to explain the situation. Her boss immediately approved full remote work and extended her timeline. Take care of yourself and that baby, Janet said. We can handle the rest. So Cassandra moved out of her corporate apartment and into Junho's penthouse. It felt surreal, living in the space they'd shared so briefly 9 months ago, but now with a baby. The first week was chaos. Neither of them had any idea what they were doing. Junho walked around his penthouse in a daze, Googling things like, why won't baby stop crying, and is it normal for newborns to sleep this much? Cassandra was recovering from birth, exhausted and overwhelmed, trying to navigate breastfeeding while answering work emails, breaking into tears at random moments. I'm a terrible mother, she sobbed one night at 3 a.m., after Camille had been crying for an hour straight and Cassandra couldn't figure out why. I can't even tell what she needs. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe I should have given her to someone who actually knows what they're doing. You're an incredible mother. Junho took the baby, gently rocking her while checking her diaper. You're doing this with no preparation, no time to adjust, and you're still working. You're a superhero. Oh, I think she's hungry again already. I just fed her an hour ago. Growth spurt maybe? Here. He handed Camille back, watching with awe as his daughter latched on and finally quieted. He spent that night researching everything about newborns while Cassandra dozed. By morning, he'd ordered a dozen books, joined 3 parenting forums, and had a color-coded feeding schedule on his tablet. You made a spreadsheet for our daughter? Cassandra asked, equal parts amused and touched. Of course. How else are we supposed to track patterns? He showed her his work. Look, she feeds every 2 hours, but the crying seems to correlate with gas around 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. So if we do more frequent burping during evening feeds. You're such a nerd. You love it. I really do. They fell into a rhythm. Junho took paternity leave, shocking his entire company, and dedicated himself to being present. He learned to change diapers and prepare bottles for when Cassandra was too exhausted to breastfeed, and to operate on 2 hours of sleep. Cassandra slowly regained her strength, finishing out her work project from the penthouse while learning to mother. "We should probably talk about us," Cassandra said one evening, watching Junho give Camille a bath in the kitchen sink. Their daughter kicked happily, splashing water everywhere, and Junho laughed with pure joy. "What about us?" He looked up at her. "What are we doing?" "I mean, I'm living here, we're raising Camille together, but we haven't actually discussed. Are we dating? Are we just co-parenting? What happens when my work project ends?" Junho was quiet for a moment, carefully rinsing soap from Camille's tiny body. Then he lifted their daughter from the water, wrapping her in a soft towel. "I want everything," he said finally. "I want you to stay in Seoul. I want us to be a family, not just two people raising a child together. I want to fall asleep next to you every night and wake up to Camille's crying at 3 a.m. together." He looked at her. "But I understand if you need time. If you want to take things slow." "I don't want to take things slow." Cassandra stood, crossing to him. "I spent 8 months trying to get over you and I failed miserably. Then I came back here for work and every day I had to stop myself from calling you, from showing up at your office. When my water broke, you were the only person I wanted. So what do? We stop pretending this is temporary." She touched his face. "I'll talk to Jensen about transferring permanently to the Seoul office. I'll find my own apartment while we figure things out. Move in here. Officially. Not as my ex-girlfriend staying temporarily, but as my partner. As Camille's mother and my..." He hesitated. "What are you comfortable with? Your girlfriend sounds teenage. Your partner sounds clinical." She smiled. "How about the woman you're building a life with?" "Perfect." He kissed her, careful of the baby between them. "I love you, Cassie. Let's do this right this time." 2 months after Camille's birth, Junho made his decision. He called a press conference, something he rarely did, and Korea's media descended on Choi Industries headquarters. Cassandra watched from his office, Camille asleep in her arms, her heart in her throat. Junho stood at the podium, looking impossibly handsome in a charcoal Tom Ford suit. "Thank you for coming. I have an announcement that's personal rather than professional. 9 months ago, I met someone who changed my life. She challenged me, inspired me, and made me want to be better. We fell in love. Then circumstances separated us, and I spent 8 of the worst months of my life without her." Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned forward. 2 months ago, she returned to Seoul for work. That same night, we discovered we were having a child, my daughter, Camille. Neither of us knew she was pregnant. It was what's called a cryptic pregnancy, where symptoms are minimal or attributed to other causes. But that unexpected moment gave us a second chance. He gestured to the screen behind him, where a photo appeared, Junho, Cassandra, and Camille, taken last week in his penthouse. They looked happy. Natural. Like they belonged together. "This is Cassandra Williams, the woman I love. She's American, she's brilliant, and she makes me happier than I thought possible. I know this will generate conversation. I know some people will have opinions. But I want to be clear. My family is not up for debate. Anyone who has a problem with the woman I love or my daughter will have a problem with me." The room erupted. Questions flew. Junho answered a few. No, they weren't married yet. Yes, he was incredibly happy. No, this wouldn't affect his company, and then he ended the conference. He came back to his office and found Cassandra crying. "Hey." He pulled her into his arms, careful of Camille between them. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." She laughed through her tears. You claimed us. In front of everyone. You told them about the cryptic pregnancy, about me coming back for work. You made it real. It is real. You're mine. Both of you." He kissed her forehead. "And I'm yours. No more hiding." The response was mixed, as they'd expected. Some outlets were supportive, praising Junho's honesty and the beauty of his family. Others were critical, with thinly veiled racist undertones. The comment sections were brutal. But Junho kept his promise. When a major business publication ran a piece questioning whether his foreign relationship would affect his leadership, he pulled all advertising from them. When an online troll sent Cassandra hate messages, his legal team tracked them down and filed charges. "You don't have to fight every battle," Cassandra said. "Yes, I do. For you, I do." Slowly the noise died down. Other news cycles took over. And Junho and Cassandra focused on what mattered, their daughter and each other. 3 months after the press conference. 5 months after Camille's birth, Junho took Cassandra to Namsan Tower at sunset. They left Camille with Minji, who'd flown in from Paris specifically for this. "Don't worry," his sister had said, practically shoving them out the door. Auntie duty is my favorite duty. Besides, Camille and I need to discuss her future fashion choices. I'm thinking baby Chanel. She's 5 months old. Never too early to develop taste. This feels familiar, Cassandra said as they rode the cable car up, Seoul spreading beneath them in a tapestry of lights. We came here during your first visit, Junho said. You took 17 photos. 18. And you made fun of me for being a tourist. I love that you were a tourist. You saw wonder in things I'd stopped noticing. He took her hand. You made me see my city, my life, differently. They reached the observation deck and Junho led her to a quiet corner. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Cassandra, he said turning to face her. The day you got on that plane I thought my life was over. I was so angry, at you for leaving, at myself for letting you go. Then you came back to Seoul for work and even though we weren't together, knowing you were in the same city gave me hope. And then Camille happened, this beautiful surprise neither of us expected, and suddenly we had a second chance. He took a deep breath and dropped to one knee. Cassandra's hand flew to her mouth. I'm not good at traditional romance, Junho continued, pulling out a ring box. I work too much, I'm stubborn, and I definitely scheduled this during Camille's fussy hour because I forgot to check her schedule. But I promise to love you with everything I have. I promise to stand beside you, not in front of you. I promise to be the partner you deserve and the father Camille needs. He opened the box, revealing a stunning ring, a pear-shaped diamond surrounded by smaller stones in a platinum setting. Cassandra Williams, will you marry me? She was crying again, nodding before she could speak. Yes. Yes, of course yes. He slipped the ring on her finger and stood, pulling her into a kiss that tasted like salt and joy. Around them, tourists clapped and took photos, but Junho didn't care. He had everything he needed right here. I love you, Cassandra said against his lips. I love you so much it scares me. Good. I'd be worried if I was the only one scared. He repeated his words from months ago and she laughed. That night they picked up Camille and went back to the penthouse. Their daughter was fussy, clearly mad at them for leaving, wearing what appeared to be a designer baby outfit. Minji, did you actually buy her Chanel? It's Dior and she looks fabulous. It took an hour to get Camille settled after they said goodbye to Minji. Welcome to our glamorous life, Cassandra joked as they finally collapsed onto the couch, Camille asleep between them in her designer outfit. It's perfect. Junho kissed her ring finger. You're perfect. 2 months later, they flew to New Jersey with Camille, who was now 7 months old and had discovered the joy of shrieking at random intervals. Junho was terrified, though he tried to hide it. What if your family hates me? They won't hate you. Cassandra adjusted Camille's outfit for the third time, a tiny dress with matching headband. Their daughter immediately pulled the headband off and tried to eat it. My mom is going to love you. How do you know? Because you love her daughter and her granddaughter. That's all that matters to her. Plus, I've been video calling her every week. She's already halfway in love with you from watching you make silly faces at Camille through the screen. Cassandra's mother, Gloria Williams, lived in a modest house in Newark's South Ward. The neighborhood was a mix of renovated brownstones and worn buildings, full of life and history. Gloria opened the door before they could knock. She was in her late 50s, beautiful in the way Cassandra would be in 20 years, with silver-streaked hair and kind eyes. My baby. She pulled Cassandra into a fierce hug, careful of Camille between them. Then she plucked her granddaughter from Cassandra's arms. And my grandbaby. Look at you, Camille. You're even more beautiful in person. Camille, who'd been wary, suddenly broke into a gummy smile and reached for Gloria's face. She likes you, Cassandra said, relieved. Of course she does. I'm her grandmother. Gloria turned to Junho, studying him with an intensity that made him want to fidget. So you're the man who broke my daughter's heart. Mama, Cassandra started. And then won it back, Gloria continued, her face breaking into a smile. Come here, Junho. She hugged him one-armed, Camille still in her other arm, and Junho felt some of his tension ease. It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Williams. Call me Gloria. Or Mom if you're feeling brave. She stepped back, looking between them. Now come inside. I've got half of Newark coming by to meet the famous Korean billionaire and see this beautiful baby. The house was full, Cassandra's aunts, uncles, cousins and family friends, all eager to meet the Korean billionaire and fuss over Camille. Junho was overwhelmed at first, not used to this kind of boisterous, loving chaos. In his family, gatherings were formal affairs with seating charts and multiple courses. But the Williams family welcomed him with open arms. They asked about Korea, teased him about his American accent, which he'd worked so hard to perfect, and demanded to hold Camille, who basked in the attention like a tiny celebrity. Your family is incredible, Junho whispered to Cassandra as they watched Gloria dance with Camille to old Motown records, their daughter giggling wildly. They're your family now too. That night, after everyone left and Camille was asleep upstairs in a portable crib, Junho sat with Gloria in the kitchen. She made him tea, none of that fancy stuff, just Lipton, and studied him over the rim of her mug. You really love her, Gloria said. It wasn't a question. More than anything. Love isn't enough, you know. Not for the long haul. She set down her mug. You're going to face challenges most couples don't. People will judge you. They'll judge your daughter. They'll question whether you belong together. I know. We've already faced some of that. But here's what I see. A man who flew 12 hours to meet his girlfriend's family. A man who looks at my daughter like she hung the moon. A man who takes his turn with the baby at 3 a.m. even though he's exhausted. She reached across the table, patting his hand. That's the man my daughter needs. That's the man Camille needs. Thank you, Junho said, his voice thick. For raising someone as extraordinary as Cassandra. For welcoming me into your family. Oh, she did most of the raising herself. Stubborn from the day she was born. Gloria smiled. But you're good for her. You see her strength and match it. That's rare. And that baby upstairs? She's going to have the best of both of you. They spent a week in New Jersey, and Junho fell in love with Cassandra all over again, seeing her in her element. She took him to her favorite spots. The Portuguese bakery where she'd worked in high school, the park where she used to study, the library where she'd spent countless hours dreaming of a bigger life. I never thought I'd bring someone here, she admitted as they sat on a bench, Camille napping in her stroller. My New Jersey life and my New York life and my Seoul life all felt separate. And now I realize they're all part of who I am. And I want to share all of it with you. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Thank you for coming. For wanting to know where I'm from. I want to know everything about you. Every story, every memory, every dream. He kissed her temple. You're it for me, Cassie. You're my forever. They got married 6 months later in a private ceremony at a Hanok-style venue in Seoul. Camille was 13 months old by then, toddling around and getting into everything. Cassandra wore a custom gown by an up-and-coming Korean designer, ivory silk with delicate embroidery that incorporated both Korean and African patterns. Her hair was styled in elegant locks swept up with gold accessories, and she carried a bouquet of white roses and freesia. Junho wore a midnight blue tuxedo by Park Sung-joon, and when he saw Cassandra walking down the aisle, he cried. Actually cried, tears streaming down his face, not caring who saw. You're so beautiful, he whispered when she reached him. I can't believe I get to marry you. The ceremony blended traditions from both cultures. They bowed to Junho's parents in the traditional Korean paebik, and Gloria performed a jumping the broom ceremony that her grandmother had done at her own wedding. Camille, dressed in a tiny hanbok, was supposed to be the flower girl but instead toddled straight to her grandmother and demanded to be picked up, making everyone laugh. When it came time for vows, Junho spoke first. Cassandra, when I met you, I was successful but empty. I had everything except the thing that mattered most. Someone to share it with. You filled that emptiness with your laugh, your intelligence, your strength, and your love. You came back to Seoul for work, not knowing you carried our daughter, and fate gave us a second chance. Today I promise to be your partner in all things. To listen when you need to be heard. To stand back when you need to lead. To fight for us when the world pushes back. You and Camille are my home, my purpose, my everything. Cassandra wiped her eyes, ruining her makeup, not caring. Junho, you taught me that love isn't about being safe, it's about being brave. Brave enough to be vulnerable. Brave enough to fight for what matters. Brave enough to build a life that doesn't look like anyone else's because it's ours. Her voice cracked. I ran from you once because I was scared. Then I came back to Seoul for work and the universe said, not so fast, and gave us Camille. I'll never run again. Wherever you are, whatever challenges we face, I'm with you. You're my heart, my home, my forever person. They exchanged rings, simple platinum bands engraved with their wedding date and Camille's birth date, and when the officiant said, you may kiss, Junho dipped Cassandra back, kissing her thoroughly while their guests cheered and Camille yelled, Appa, from Gloria's arms. The reception was pure joy. They'd rented out an entire rooftop overlooking the Han River, stringing lights and filling tables with flowers. The menu mixed Korean and American soul food, galbi and collard greens, kimchi and mac and cheese, bibimbap and cornbread. Junho's friends gave speeches that roasted him lovingly. Cassandra's college roommate told embarrassing stories. Minji cried through her entire maid of honor toast. Gloria and Junho's mother, who'd bonded over grandmotherhood and video calls, clinked glasses and declared themselves best friends. Our daughters made us family, Junho's mother said, bouncing Camille on her lap. But this little one made us grandmothers together. For their first dance, they chose Adorn by Miguel, swaying together as the city glittered around them, and Camille danced with both grandmothers nearby. We did it, Cassandra said, her arms around his neck. We actually pulled this off. Did you doubt we would? Maybe a little. On the hard days. She smiled. But then I'd look at you with Camille, or you'd do something sweet and unexpected, and I'd remember why we're doing this. Why are we doing this? Junho asked, spinning her gently. Because love like ours doesn't come around often. And when it does, you fight for it with everything you have. Even when you don't know you're pregnant and move to Seoul for work and everything goes wonderfully, terrifyingly wrong in the best possible way. Later, after they'd cut the cake, a stunning 5-tier creation with gold leaf and sugar flowers, and danced until their feet hurt, Junho found Cassandra on the balcony looking out at Seoul. Escaping your own wedding? He asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Just taking a moment. 18 months ago, I was alone in New York, convincing myself I'd made the right choice leaving you. I had no idea I was carrying Camille. And now you're stuck with both of us forever. Best surprise I ever got. She turned in his arms. I love you, husband. I love you, wife. He kissed her, slow and deep, tasting champagne and promise.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to our channel. Click on the notification icon so that you will get notified whenever a new story is posted. Also leave us a like, comment, and share to others who love good stories.